I welcome you all to the 4th G. Vishwanath Memorial Lecture. Late Sri G. Vishwanath sir was the former District Governor of Rotary in District 3201. He was fondly addressed as GV in the Rotary arena. He was a prominent figure in the social and charitable circle of Cochin. His involvement in setting up the Institute of Engineers, Cochin chapter, and his leadership in leading the Brahmana Sabha is well organized and applauded. GV's sad and untimely demise in the year 2013, at the relatively early age of 73, left him behind a vacuum in the social circle of Cochinites. In memory of his selfless and good deeds, contribution to the Rotary and to the society at large, we, Rotary Club of Cochin East, in association with Institute of Engineers India and Kerala Brahmana Sabha, initiated this project in remembrance of this man who walked his talk. Even in his death, he led by example, donating his organs and even his mortal remains to the cause of medicine. This is the 4th lecture in the series. The inaugural GV Memorial Lecture was delivered in 2014 by Sri Venu Rajamani, IRS, on the subject Global Turmoil and India's Options. In second year in 2015, the keynote address was delivered by Sri P.C. Syriac IAS on how to make urban development effective. And the third in 2016, the keynote address delivered by Sri Padma Vibhushan M.S. Valiathan on modern medicine in India, story of a guest who stayed on. Today, we have amidst us Padma Vibhushan Sri Dr. G.Madhavan Nair sir, former chairman of Indian Space Research Organization, who will talk to us on role of science and technology in nation building. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invitation and gracing this organization. Welcome Sri Radha ma'am, wife of Sri Madhav Nair sir, to our function. On behalf of RCC, Cochin East and everyone present here, it is my proud privilege to welcome you, sir. I welcome our President Sri T.P. Raveendranath and Elders, MP Elders, Secretary of Indian Institute of Engineers, Cochin chapter. Sri P.A. Sadashivan, President, and Sri Ananda Narayanan, Secretary of Brahmana Sabha. I would like to welcome and thank all members of Institute of Engineers, Brahmana Sabha, for accepting our invitation and associating with us for conducting this lecture series. I would also like to welcome our District Governor-elect, Sri Madhav Chandran, and last but not the least, I welcome all the family members, friends, Rotarians, well-wishers of GV sir. Welcome once again and enjoy the evening. Thank you.
We request the District Governor-elect, Rotarian Madhav Chandran, to address the gathering and share his memories of GV sir with us.
GV, I remember as a leader with a multifaceted way of looking at leadership. He was a leader who led with compassion and had a very, very deep-rooted passion for whatever he used to do. Irrespective of his ill health at times too, he was there physically exerting himself and getting things done. He was a leader who used to give us complete freedom. I can find one more person sitting there, Prakash Chandran. He was also part of the secretariat when we were running the secretariat for the governorship of GV. He never used to interfere in what we used to do, and he had full confidence and faith in the team which he had selected. True ideals of a leader, I must say. And of course, leadership, proving service above self, when he donated his own body, and I won't say I was lucky enough to be a signatory to that, but when he left us, when his mortal remains were handed over to Amrita, he proved even beyond his life, service above self is something which we can practice. And if all of us in Rotary can follow his footsteps, Rotary will truly reach the heights which the forefathers, the founding fathers of Rotary envisaged this organization to be. And I say pranams to him and seek his blessings wherever he is. I'm sure he must be smiling when I'm saying all these big things about him, because I'm a Chotu as far as he's concerned. That his Chotu is talking about big things in Rotary, trying to ape him when I'm becoming a governor. I don't know how far I can do that, and guide him wherever he is. And I hope his blessings are there for our district, for all the Rotarians, and especially on me when we are going ahead in the next 366 days of 2019-20. And my respects to him, and of course my love to Meena ma'am. She's an integral part of my cabinet when I'm taking over as a governor. Thanks to all of you, Cochin East, for giving me this opportunity to come forward and stand before this august audience where a person of much repute and stature as G.Madhavan Nair sir is sitting. Thank you all, and may God bless you.
Chief guest of the day, most respected Padma Vibhushan G.Madhavan Nair sir, other dignitaries on and off the dais, Meena Vishwanathan ma'am, esteemed members of the audience, and my dear friends. At the very outset, let me pay glowing tributes to late G.V. sir on the occasion of the 4th memorial lecture. We, the members of the Institution of Engineers, India, cherish the fond memories of G.V. sir. The void created by his untimely demise almost 6 years ago is very difficult to fill. He was a person who had very big dreams, and he used to execute his plans meticulously to achieve those dreams. He was always full of energy. As chairman of the Institution of Engineers India Kochi Local Center, he superheaded 2 mega events. One was the 25th National Convention of Chemical Engineers held in 2009 and the Indian Engineering Congress in the year 2010. I was very fortunate to have associated with G.V. sir during this period. He was always a pleasant and sporty person, and we still remember his smile, that characteristic smile of G.V. sir, that is clear from the photograph. My humble pranams to him on this occasion. We are really blessed with the presence of Padma Vibhushan G.Madhavan Nair sir, a great visionary leader of Indian space research program. His contributions to Indian space research will always be remembered. I wish this 4th memorial lecture all success. Thank you.
Request now Mr. P.A. Sadashivan, President of Brahmana Sabha, to speak a few words.
Good evening to all. Respected Chief Guest, Sri Madhavan Nair, Padma Vibhushan, and Rotary governors, past governors, Rotarians, and my friends. We, Kerala Brahmana Sabha, thank the Rotary Club of Cochin East for the opportunity given to us to address this 4th year function on remembering the great former district governor, Sri G. Vishwanath, who was dearly known to everybody as G.V. Our organization has grown meticulously over the years as we attribute it to many great personalities like G.V., despite not being on the helm of leadership. G.V. has tirelessly participated in various activities associated with the Sabha, inspiring people like us. G.V. also conducted personality development classes, molding the youth who have become leaders of late. And He has immensely funded various activities of the Kerala Brahmana Sabha, Ernakulam City Unit. Despite being busy with his own official commitment, he found time to work towards the betterment of society. We pray to the Almighty for the great soul which attained the lotus feet. On behalf of Kerala Brahmana Sabha, I would like to express sincere gratitude to the Rotary Club of Cochin East for inviting us and letting us take part in this program. And we wish and pray that the Rotary Club of Cochin East carry forward this program in the years to come. Thank you very much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my proud privilege and honor to be able to introduce to you the icon in Indian space research, our beloved Padma Vibhushan Dr. G.Madhavan Nair. As I've been granted just a few minutes, my task is like compressing an epic into a paragraph. That, I must confess, is forcing an acute harmonic motion into my knees and fingers. And I do hope, please bear with me for any misses. G.Madhavan Nair was born in 1943 in Neyatankara to Srimati Sarojam and Sri Gopalan Nair, an engineer. He spent his early childhood in the picturesque village of Tirunandikara, followed by the middle school in Tiruvattar, which seeded his early interest in physics, mathematics, and design. Experiments used to be a key learning method for him. He believes the utmost desire to learn and to make things work induced a constant cycle of experiments, keen observation on the outcome, regardless of whether it is a success or a failure, and learning from those mistakes to correct things and propelling that desire to make things work forward. He believes that method of constant improvisation and perseverance has caused or has helped India achieve self-reliance in space technology. I would like to invite your attention to a few seconds. Any ideas what this can make? These are the ingredients. What do you think will come out of it? Any guesses? Please, we are all engineers. I think we should give it a try. Yeah, you're very right. So it's a radio with a difference. It is a radio that does not use any power. There is no battery. Do you see any battery there? And let's put that in context. We are talking about 1950s, where the radios are bulky beasts made of valves and vacuum tubes. And transistor itself was invented just 3 years back, in 1947. And India being a nice nation with little money or reach. So when you look at a 9th standard student, puts it together, not from a textbook or a do-it-yourself kit, but purely from a concept and make it work. It hardly comes short of black magic in that era. So just if I may look at it, the wire is the antenna, the aluminum foil with a paper insulator becomes the capacitor, but the best part comes the last. What we call as Anjana color, which is available as a common item in a lot of Ayurvedic medicine shops, he realized it's basically a crystal, which is phosphorus arsenide crystal, which actually acts as a PN junction which can be used to create a diode. Diodes were, diamond isn't now, but those era, it was not available, and we didn't have any money. This is brilliant. Nothing comes short of brilliance, and I had the privilege to talk to him a few minutes back. He says, that is the invention. That is the, ingenuity in inventing things. And combined with the ability to invent, experiment, learn, invent, that has what has propelled our space science forward. The rest is history, and we are grateful to Sir for his perseverance in making huge leaps in our communication capabilities through various satellites and other means. Dr. Nair graduated in engineering from Kerala University in 1996 and underwent training in Baba Atomic Research Center, Bombay. He joined Tumba Equatorial Rocket Launching Station, TERLS, in 1967, and since then has held various positions, posting illustrious milestones on his way to the position of the chairman of ISRO in 2003. During his tenure of 6 years as chairman, ISRO secretary, over 25 successful missions were accomplished. This is just a list so we get an idea of the spectrum. Dr. Nair has taken initiative towards development of futuristic technologies to enhance space system capabilities as well as to reduce the cost of access to space. He has given major thrust for evolving application programs such as teleeducation and telemedicine for meeting the needs of the society at large. In his tenure as the director of Liquid Propulsion System Center, India's efforts towards indigenous development of cryogenic technology took concrete shape, and vital infrastructure was built and critical technologies were developed. In his role as director of VSSE from 1999, Sri G.Madhavan Nair led VSSE, the largest center of ISRO with about 6,000 employees, working in various engineering and scientific disciplines towards the development of India's geosynchronized satellite launch vehicle, or GSLV, capable of orbiting a 2,000 kg class of satellite into a geotransit orbit, which had led to its successful flight in the very first attempt and declared operational after the flight in 2003. Sri G.Madhavan Nair, as chairman, Space Commission, was responsible for talking the future plan for space research in the country. Major thrusts are in the scientific exploration of outer space using the AstroSat and Chandran, or the moon mission. In the international arena, Dr. Nair has led Indian delegations for bilateral cooperation and negotiations with many space agencies and countries, and has been instrumental in working out mutually beneficial international cooperative agreements. He was the founding chairman of IIT Patna and the only non-American president of the International Academy of Astronautics. Sri Madhavan Nair is a recipient of numerous illustrious national and international awards. I will not make an attempt to list them for you. It is endless. But most importantly, in 1998, he was awarded Padma Vibhushan, and later, in 2009, he was bestowed the second highest civilian honor, Padma Vibhushan, for his exceptional and distinguished services to the nation. In 2017, he has published an autobiography called Agni Parikshakal, which is a book widely known to enlighten the Indian minds, like the book written by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam titled Wings of Fire. I would just take a few seconds, to walk you through his life in a short set of pictures. This is an early photograph. So at TERLS Payload Integration Lab with Dr. Satish Dhawan. This is PSLV, which is the Pallath satellite launch vehicle, just before its launch. This is presenting a model of the Retrosat-1 to the PM. This is Chandran-1 in the making, and Chandran-1 launch and early images. This is a very special moment where so we are celebrating the Moon Impact Probe touching down, and if you look at it, you're pointing at the location on the moon surface where it is. I believe it's called Jawahar, right? Because it happened on Pandit Nehru's birthday, actually. And this is with the President of NASA. G.Madhavan Nair's focus has always been to achieve self-reliance in high technology areas and to bring benefits of space technology to the national development, especially targeting the needs of rural and poor sections of the society. Ladies and gentlemen, with great pleasure and honor, I would like to invite Dr. Nair. Please put your hands and together for.
Thank you, Rotarian Raveendranath Kamath, for the well-researched introduction made. I think he has virtually studied my entire life history, and it's a very pleasant experience to go through the past memories. Rotarian Abby Easo, District Governor-elect Sri R. Madhav Chandran, Sri P.A. Sadashivan, President of the Brahmana Sabha, Rotarian Joseph Pallath, other Rotarians, the members of the Institute of Engineers, Cochin, and the members of Brahmana Sabha and friends. It's really a rare honor and privilege for me to be standing before you, delivering the lecture in memory of the great personality, GB. In fact, when Rotarian Joseph contacted me that I must come all the way to Cochin and give a talk for about an hour, I was wondering why I should do it. But after he convinced me about the contributions GB has made to the society, and that's a single factor which motivated me to come here today and address you. As the earlier speakers mentioned, GB was a multifaceted personality. He was very much concerned about society, the well-being of the people, and spent all his life towards achieving this goal through various organizations and through the individual contributions. As a Rotarian, he has done human service to the poor people and the needy people, and some other establishments like old age homes, etc. is a standing example for that. And in the organizing various events in the engineering field and bringing together fraternity from all over the country, etc., is really a creditable job. So I pay my homages to this great personality on this occasion. Well, I think Joseph was asking me what I should talk about. Normally I talk about space, but of course today space has become a household name. Every day something or other is happening, and the TV they'll be flashing one news or other, and the latest one is with respect to our plans for sending a human being to outer space and bringing back. So like that we have very ambitious dreams, and ISRO is one organization which is capable of doing that. We set goals which normally people consider as impossible, and I'm proud to be a member of the ISRO family, and who have been doing this kind of activities and contributing to the national scientific knowledge and wealth. Well, I think I won't dwell much on the achievements of ISRO. Let me just get back to the history of science and technology in India. Long back, about 5,000 years back, in the Mohenjo-daro and Harappa civilization, there flourished a community who could think scientifically and achieve results of various human, rather benefit to the human society. If we look at even the dwellings which is designed those days, the architectural plan, the drainage system, water supply system, etc. is very unique. And even today, the modern technology adopts most of the techniques adopted in those days. Then comes a field like astrology those days, and that is partly a reflection of the astronomy. What is unique is those days there were no observing instruments like radars and telescopes and all those things. But in spite of that, our rishis, through their whatever they could see with their eyes and deep insight through meditation, they were able to chalk out the position of the planet Earth and vis-a-vis the other stellar configuration and its aspect angle and so on. Those computations which is done in the early days very well compare with what we do with the most modern computers, the supercomputers and so on. So that shows that there was a tremendous strength in the thought process and how it can be transformed into an application. Then of course India can claim that the metals were separated from the ores for the first time in the world here in this continent. Initially it was the tin and copper, later the iron, which became a very powerful tool those days for not only making agriculture tools but also for making weapons like arrows or spear and so on. Then came a period in which the Arabs came here for trading, and through them this technology was passed on to the Europe. So Europe, when it was in a dark era, we have given the technology of advanced material processing to them. Of course, I don't have to introduce about the Ayurveda. It is even today, it is a very powerful solution for healthcare. And again, this has came out of the intense work done by Rishi Paramparas. That is not one person, but a series of people who are, the Shushrusha and other people are involved in that. Even surgical practices were practiced those days. If you look at this way, we had a fantastic past, which is lasting for almost 2000 years plus, up to 600 AD. 600 AD onwards, we were under invasion by many of the foreign forces, and that led to a sort of an oppression, and the free thinking was curbed. The result is, whatever mileage we have gained in terms of science and technology could not be maintained, and it had a decay. While we were in the decaying path, the Europe woke up, and in the medieval times, they came out with the various development activities and scientific principles and its application. And what we are enjoying today, all the modern conveniences what we are enjoying today, is a result of the scientific research and technology which has evolved in Europe from something like 1500 years up to now. But India was sleeping all those days. But the most satisfying part is when we got independence, our leaders, especially Jawaharlal Nehruji, he thought that our future lies in mastering science and technology. So he has invested in a large number of education institutions, research institutions, and specific programs for learning the advanced technology. So this has helped. That foundation what was laid those days. And from then onwards, it was a real fast growth, which has beaten even the records which is set by the Europeans over 300 years. We can say that we are proud that today we have mastered the atomic science and technology by which we can crack the atom, generate power, or use it for medical application, and ultimately for the weapon system. Then comes the agriculture field. You know, Dr. Swaminathan, he has led a team of scientists in the mid-60s and revolutionized the entire agriculture field. At the time, we were importing almost 60% of food grains from outside. And due to his effort, today we are more than self-sufficient for the food grains. We grow enough in our fields to sustain our population. Then, of course, the era of space, we had a late start, about 20 years later than other countries. Because most of the space research activity were spun off from the missile activity, which was developed by the Western countries during World War II, whereas we didn't have that privilege. In our history, we will see that only a sort of a very small rocket was made by Tipu Sultan about 300 years back and used as a weapon against the British. And afterwards, there's nothing. And we started entry into the rocket field in the early 60s. And the net result is that today we have emerged as a very powerful player in the space arena. We have the rockets which can take satellites to around the Earth and then carry out various missions like the remote sensing, there's Earth observation, then we have the communication, connectivity, and meteorological observations and so on. And our founding father, Dr. Vikram Sarabhai, he has set a goal not only that we should master this high technology, but we should put to use for the benefit of the common man. As mentioned, the telemedicine, tele-education, village resource center were typical examples of that. I still recall in 2005 when we started the telemedicine project, we have connected the Bangalore Narayana Hridayalaya with a remote area in Siliguri, a small village. From there, a mother comes with a child. She was totally upset because his breathing is not normal and his growth rate is small and so on. But a consultation by the Narayana Hridayalaya specialist doctors has enabled them to identify the reason, and that is the patient data is sent from Siliguri via satellite to Bangalore, and the diagnosis was done in Bangalore, and advise the local doctors what to do for the immediate attention, and then later bring back to the specialty hospital for a surgical process and so on. So, normal course, the patient will have to travel from the village to the multi-specialty hospital and spend days together, travel expense, living expense, and so on. And that becomes unaffordable for those people. But today, this system is very widely used. Here, the Amrita Institute of Technology is providing service to hundreds of villagers through this system. Of course, technology has grown. Those days, the connectivity was just not there, and we had to depend only for the satellite to do this. But today, through the internet and telephone, etc., we can do that similar operations. But the seeding for that was done by ISRO, and we are happy that we have succeeded in that. It was a tele-education that is very much needed. You know, there is a lack of good teachers in almost all fields. To enable the children to get the benefit of these teachers, the classroom, a virtual classroom is created. That is, you have a class conducted at one place, and through the telelink, you broadcast to various other schools simultaneously, and the children will have an opportunity to interact with the teacher in real time. But more than all these things, the effort what we have made for the disaster management is something very unique. Disaster management, as you know, that quite often in India we have the cyclones, floods, and landslides and so on. But out of that, the most damaging is the cyclones. For detecting the cyclones, the satellites which are in the geostationary orbit, they take pictures every half an hour and track the course of the cyclone, and where it is going to hit the land is predicted in advance. Even recently you have seen that the storm which has developed in the Arabian Sea and how it was traveling, and when it approached near Gujarat, we were able to precisely say what is going to happen. But nature we cannot predict. But suddenly it changed the course and went towards Oman and all those things. But still, that entire tracking. But a similar picture, what happened in Odisha last year, a huge cyclone was approaching and we were able to give warning 48 hours before. Net result is the district authorities could intervene and they were able to really give warning and evacuate the people. So the net life lost is less than 10. Whereas a similar event which has happened about 20 years back, 10,000 lives were lost. So to that extent, the space technology is being put to use for the benefit of the common man. So naturally the question will come, what next? Yes, I think we are, though we have advanced technologies for the rockets, satellites, etc., still we are not able to send a man to the orbit. Yes, man to the orbit, what is the prestige? You know, Americans, what they have done, when the Cold War time, President Kennedy declared that we want to see that the man lands on the moon in the mid-60s. And he has pumped in a huge amount of resources for that, and they have achieved it. But that was a prestigious project. But today, it has become almost a necessity. If we want to have Earth observation, especially during difficult times, we have to have the presence of man in the space so he can make a quick observation of whatever is happening in the global scenario instantaneously and take decisions on that. And not only that, there's a long-range dream whether we can go to moon, set up a colony, or Mars and set up a colony, and so on. So this is just a step forward to that. And I'm happy that the present government under Modi ji has given a big thrust to that. And he has given it a very ambitious target by 2022. That is the 75th anniversary of our independence. We must be having our man launched with our rocket in the space. So that's a kind of the technology which we could demonstrate. I have highlighted this point to show that we have strengths. You take agriculture, atomic energy, defense, or space. We have demonstrated that we can learn this technology without the help of others. Our own engineers, scientists, and technicians can do things and produce wonderful results which benefit the common man. In all these programs which I listed, the sole aim is the advantage should go to the common man. You will ask me the space, what we are doing. I talked about the telemedicine, teleeducation, etc. More than that, you know, the DTH, what you are enjoying today, there is a benefit of the space technology. There is a geostationary satellite which is up there, and through that all these channels are relayed. And with a small dish, you are able to get this. And then next generation, we want to provide the digital connectivity to the rural areas. The satellite becomes a very powerful tool. Already one satellite is launched and it's going to do that. So the question arises, why we are not able to do this for the common people, for the common problems? So this is where I think we have to think loudly and see how technology can be harnessed and put to use. Now, our friend, my friend, school day friend Jane is here. So we were having a chat in my room. And he was talking about the waste management. A very simple example. But there is no lack of technology. You know, it is a question of segregating the waste at the source. And once it is a decayable item, there is a biodegradation process is well established. And many of our agricultural scientists have come out with various types of bacteria which can do this job effectively without any pollution. Then the byproduct of that is methane. again can be used as a fuel. That advantage is there. Probably the running cost of the plant itself will come out of that. Look at the plastic waste. Of course, there are experiments being conducted, chopping and using it for road laying and so on. But more than that, there is a technology available. By having a high pressure and high temperature incinerator, we can decompose the plastic into methane. And pure carbon will be the outcome of that. Pure carbon has got a very big commercial value. This technology again, atomic energy has demonstrated. Space Department has got some incinerator which works at nearly 100 bar and so on. So this technology is readily available. So why we are not able to adopt this technology for solving our problem? The problem what we are seeing is the waste management in the cities and towns. Then you look at the solar technology. We know that fossil fuels are going to decay and we have to depend on other natural resources. The solar is one of the good choices, but unfortunately we are not invested in that area. We have been buying and bolting most of the cells and the batteries and so on and delivering a system. But basic research, starting from the silicon material to develop the silicon cells, and then convert into the high efficiency. Especially today, the main problem with the solar cells is efficiency is hardly 20%. How to boost this efficiency to 40 or 50% is a big challenge. Many of our research laboratories are working on nanomaterials and nanotechnology. If we adopt those technologies, this problem could be easily solved and we can emerge as a leader in this field. But somebody has to build the cat, somebody has to see that this research is focused and bring the results on. Again about the water, it's mostly a management problem, I would say. India, though many places are under drought today, on the average, we are getting almost 1 meter of rainfall. If we collect all the water, the entire country will be filled with water up to 1 meter. Where is it going? In about a month or two, it is all running down to the sea. How we can manage the water harvesting and how it can be effectively put to use, store it and so on. Underground storages by percolating down or things like that is possible. But then again the problem will come about the minerals which are dissolved into it and how we can remove those impurities and make potable water available to the people. So again the technology of today, various types of catalysts are available using carbon tubes and so on. If you adopt that, yes, we have a solution in hand. Look at the healthcare. I was mentioned earlier about the Ayurvedic system of medicine. It is well established and time proven. And it is affordable to the common man. But whereas most of still about 30% of our population depends on that. But remaining 70% depend on very expensive solution. Some of the molecules separated out of these natural compounds are branded and sold at an exorbitant price. Again, the medical equipments which are required for scanning and so on. We have a rocket in which we have to find the defects and so on. We use ultrasonic scanner as well as the X-ray techniques and so on. Those technologies are readily available in our laboratories. But somebody has to take the initiative to do it indigenously and see that it is provided to the user at an affordable cost. Today, any of these foreign equipments, if we take, it costs crores of rupees. If you do it in the country, and if we can make those equipments here, it will be hardly 1/10 of the cost what we are getting from outside. So, if you look at the problems of our country, it is quite different. We have got, yes, our economy is going very fast, and a lot of wealth is being generated. But the unfortunate part is, 70% of the people, they are just at the border of poverty line, and 30% is below poverty line. So that kind of people, how we can bring benefit to them at an affordable cost. So here, the solution lies only in using the science and technology and its advantage to solve this problem. Well, I think it's very easy to preach. But the basic problem lies in our education system as well as in the attitude of the researchers. Well, I think the first thing is, as time passed, in the initial period, when we were studying in school, etc., 50 years back, there was a commitment from the teachers, and there is a strong relation between the teacher, student, and the parent. So that is the basic requirement for imparting knowledge. Then comes you have to groom the people with their aptitude in mind. I think in the introduction, Mr. Kamath has mentioned about that radio which is made. It is not taught in school. Just came out of some ideas read from magazine, etc., and then put that. But today, how many students will spare time to that? Even I have been to many school exhibitions and so on. They make a robot, but all those components are coming from China or somewhere else. They just bolt it together and make a robot. So that kind of creative thinking has to be encouraged at the young age itself. There is no point in pushing everybody to the IT sector or medical and so on. The people are needed to pursue science with a passion, and they should be able to really produce solutions for common man. That comes the institutions should be looking around the villages, especially that is where the most of the population lives, and what are their practical problems, day-to-day problems, what they are facing. How we can find a solution to that. So that should become the research pattern. Instead, I think today's culture is mostly you have universities and the laboratories. They are evaluated based on number of papers published in international journal. They apply that scientific principles to solve the problems of the humankind. Western countries have taken advantage with all these were driven by commercial force. Western universities or research laboratories, etc. They are the best ones are by and large managed by the private university, and money making is an incentive. So when they do some research project, etc., they will see maybe if you do 100 projects, at least 10 of them will fructify, and it will turn out to be a practical solution for the humankind. So that kind of approach they took, and that's one of the reasons they have leading today. Of course, in addition, they have the time factor, 300 years, and we have hardly 50 years, which we have struggled to achieve this level. So a mindset is to be changed to see that we pursue the problems of the common man and the society, and see how scientific principles can be applied to solve them. And of course, engineering goes hands in hand. And we don't have to shy away from anything. Our wing commander, Commodore is here. He was mentioning about the Russian technology and how he struggled to get those from Russia those days. But yes, in ISRO we were challenged. The Russian technology was stopped halfway. But that has really motivated us to work on our own. And today, it is not only the small engine which you got from Russia, similar to that, but we have a 3 times more powerful. A 20-ton cryogenic engine is designed and developed and realized here. And when you talk about an engine, there are at least about 20 different metallic compositions to be made to withstand the cryogenic temperature. There is, is almost something like 270 degrees. 250 degrees before the ice forming temperature. At that temperature, to the materials which can stand that temperature gradient as well as the pressures and other things become a big challenge. But our engineers could solve it. So this kind of determination is very much required. So I would suggest that the first and foremost is we should look for how the problems can be identified, how it can be converted to a research project, and how that application can be scaled up industrially to bring out a product or service which can serve globally. Of course, today, everything is open, the global economy, everything is open, and competition also is tough. So with that type of situation, we can move forward only if we bring out the products or services which is globally acceptable. There, the first and foremost is the quality which we have to maintain. Then secondly, it comes about the reliability. Then third, with a cost effectiveness. So with these type of factors kept in mind, if there is a close relationship between the universities, industry and the society, certainly India can emerge as a very strong power in the scientific field in the days to come. The minds, the people with their capability, the brain power and the muscle power, both are available. And we must be glad to see that India is equipped, India is having a rare resource of nearly 300 million people in the category of youth, that is below the age of 25 or so. And if this youth population can be empowered, enabled to solve the problems of society, we can say that we have achieved, we have succeeded. So towards that goal, we should work, and it is just not lip service, but people should take this seriously, and we have to bring a fraternity between the researchers and the application people to see that the country emerges as a very strong power in the days to come. Once again, my sincere thanks to the organizers for giving me this opportunity, and my respects to GV. Thank you.
I would like to ask two questions. Number one, what is going to be the finality of all these debris now that is falling into outer space? Number two, now recently India had exploded, with these missiles or whatever it is. One of the stations which was there, which was sort of given up station. What is going to happen if this technology develops and we start getting space wars? And don't you think it's going to be a great danger to the entire world?
We have to worry about the space also. Every launch, we are sending up a few satellites, and sometimes the satellite can break up and create debris. And even minimal final stage of the rocket plus some components will float around. So today, the catalog is maintained by US. About 10 centimeter, there are nearly 15,000 objects. So it's not very high to talk about it. And so the collision probability has been calculated, and it comes to something like 1 in a million. Less than the road accident probability. But still we have to worry about when many people come with the small satellites and micro satellites and so on. So it becomes a crowded place. So one has to have discipline in that. And the UN conference on the peaceful application of useful space has stipulated that countries who put up these objects have the responsibility to bring them down also. But immediately it may not take place because it requires extra fuel on board the rocket. But in the course of days they can. Other debris which is there, it is like the scavenger's job. There are people thinking about having a huge net-like structure which will be sweeping as it is orbiting around. And once it has collected enough objects, use a rocket to dump it down to the atmosphere. So in the atmosphere it will burn up. So this is there, but see, for example, our launches, we get the catalog data from US and calculate the trajectory and collision probability. If a collision probability is there, we change the course to see that we are safe. Then comes your second question about the recent missile experiment, what we did. We have been thinking for a long time. Today, the space has become the mainstay for our society. Whether it is the day-to-day entertainment or for the commercial connectivity or for military observations and communications and so on. So, in case of a war, it is quite possible some of these assets may be destroyed by others. But if we have a power to destroy their assets, then it becomes a countermeasure. So, the unique factor is we carefully planned this experiment. We put a satellite deliberately in a low Earth orbit, around 200 kilometers, and send this missile to strike it. So the technology is proven. But at 200 kilometers, this debris will not stay for more than a month or so. Because of the drag, etc., it will come down to the atmosphere. So we did that, and as a defensive mechanism, yes, we are forced to do it. Of course, Chinese have done it long back. At the time I was in Vienna in the UN corpus, we made all uproar against the Chinese. But of course, they did that 600 kilometers, that's another reason. But we were very careful in planning that.
You talked about the waste disposal, plastic waste disposal, basically turning that into methane, which can be used, it's not going to be affecting the atmosphere and all that. We have a lot of waste in the oceans nowadays, and there's a lot of plastic dumped into that. Why has nobody thought about using these technologies to make those waste disappear and ensure that there is no environmental damage?
Yes, we have to start from somewhere, because you see, these are accumulated over 20 or 30 years. But now at least if you are conscious and make sure all this plastic waste is collected, separated at the source and taken to this processing plant. In India, I think we are all talking about it, but not even a single plant has come in operation. Whereas you go to Europe, etc., every city has got their own plastic processing plant. They put through the cycle and nothing comes out. Only we have methane is a non-polluting fuel, so to say. And the carbon has got a high commercial value also. So we have to get into that stream. In fact, I've talked to one of the entrepreneurs here in Cochin itself, the Brahmana plant. They want to have a replacement. And that proposal is going back and forth for the last 10 years. Where do we reach? So it's the political will also is required for implementing such cases.
My question to you was, in fact, the question that I had framed was, do you think that we are not applying the problem solving? Do you think it's because we have a dearth of researchers in today's world, or today's generation rather, or because it's the style of education, or it's political? It's because of the bureaucracy and the political and the funding that we are lacking. So you kind of answered, you mentioned the political aspect of it. I want to believe it's that, and it's not because we have a dearth of researchers. I see a good number of students here who have taken the time off from their tuitions to be here. So I appreciate you guys here. I'm so thankful that at least the next generation is looking forward to listening to people like you. But my next question was, I'm sorry, I just spoke about it. You're not able to listen?
Let me finish this question, then.
Okay, please sir.
Okay. Now, first that I caught a word in between from you. They are coming from tuition. That itself is a very bad practice. So you should see that in the schools, the teachers, they have the passion to impart knowledge to this new generation. So that means the teachers have to keep themselves abreast, and they should have a very good relation with the students. And some students may acquire fast or learn fast. Some may be lagging behind. So special attention is required and so on. Again, when you are teaching something, you should correlate with what is happening around. Simply giving an equation in chemistry is of no use. That chemical compound, how it is used for agriculture or in the pharmacy and things like that, should be related. So education has to go in such a way that you have to kindle the imagination and sort of inquisitiveness in the minds of people. See, of course I had an opportunity to visit some of the foreign countries and all those things. Up to the 7th class or so, they are virtually left free. They will be given a few pamphlets type of thing which is guiding them in area, etc. And they were made to observe things in the society, whether it is a functioning of a post office, functioning of a railway, or even agricultural field and so on. And they go observe and make articles and essays on that and so on. So it's a free learning process. After that, depending on the aptitude of the students, you put them in a particular line. Some may be good in humanities, some may be in science, and some may be in technology, and some may be the routine work. So that classification, once you do, many of the problems will get solved. So instead what happened, because of the parental and the peer pressures, everybody is pushed into the entrance exam mode. And the net result is a lot of dissatisfaction takes place. And you take this case of engineering, for example. It is many people who don't have even elementary knowledge of mathematics, they are pushed into it. The net result is they don't pass the exam. And they float around doing nothing. So the teachers and the parents have got a responsibility to identify the aptitude of the students and put them through a course which will benefit them.
What percentage of in-house ISRO, people inside who are employees of ISRO, what percentage of your in ISRO work time is involved in problem solving for a common man?
The agriculture, these remote sensing pictures what you are getting, you can clearly identify the healthy growth of plants or otherwise, and then do the appropriate intervention. When the drought is coming, we can give warning, and the corrective measures like diverting water, etc. can be done. And even it has gone to the extent of helping the farmers in having proper insurance schemes for the the coastal areas. The fish availability sometimes gets affected, and fishermen will have to hunt around in the water for a long time. So this, by observing the ocean temperature, color, and the flow pattern, you can identify where the fish is going to be in plenty. And that direction can be given to the fishing boats. So they straight away go from the harbor to that spot, and the catch will be high, and so on. So if you look at this, there are n number of problems which is coming to the day-to-day life without our knowledge itself.
My name is Mohan Ramachandran. I'm a past president of this club. It's not directly to do with the topic today, but with space. If I have my figures right, the last man to land on the moon or to orbit the lunar belt is probably, it's about 50 years back. In an age where we are trying to race to find if we can sustain life on a Mars or a moon, why is it that nobody's been able to land a man on the moon in all these years since then?
There was a big challenge, a competition between Russia and US, and that was the main driving force those days. But then it could not be sustained in an economical factor, and whether we can make some commercial gains out of it. But later, now there are a couple of aspects which has come out is, after studying the various data collected by satellites and landers and rovers which were sent there, we know there is a lot of helium-3 on the moon. Helium-3 is not available on the Earth. So if we can extract a helium-3, that becomes an ideal fuel for atomic fusion reaction. So we have a long-range dream whether we can collect that helium-3 from moon and bring it back. That's one commercial aspect we can talk about. Other materials, etc., still research is going on to identify whether any rare materials are there on the surface and whether we can commercialize. But more than that, to have a permanent station for observation of the galaxy, stars, and even planet Earth, can we set up a sort of a observatory on moon? This is a very difficult problem. We have to have, there is no atmosphere there. So we have to have the oxygen, we have to carry from here, food supplies also, and practically nothing grows on the vacuum condition. So we have to create a special tents in which perhaps we can grow foodstuff and so on. Fortunately, we in India were the people to identify first time and confirm there is water on the moon. Our Chandrayaan mission was very unique from that point of view. Now Chandrayaan 2 is coming, so we will try to prove by landing and taking sample and saying that these are the elements there. So this kind of experiments are going on with an ultimate aim of partially exploiting the resources on the moon and trying to have an observatory. Then other question regarding if you want to establish a colony, some basic requirements are there. One is the temperature should be favorable. Any living being, the average temperature of around 20 degrees and swing of about 50 degrees is what is acceptable. So Mars has got almost that condition. But there again, the atmosphere is full of carbon dioxide. So with the carbon dioxide, you cannot sustain. So if you want to establish, but still there is a hope that we can separate oxygen from there and make for breathing, etc. Again, water source is available. So whether we can establish human colonies in Mars, that's the question being asked. Of course, a pessimistic view is if something happens to the planet Earth, where do we go for maintaining our humanity? At least some samples whether we can leave it there so we can come back later.
So you had mentioned earlier about atomic weapons playing a aforementioned role in science and technology in nation building. I just wanted to ask, also you had been part of the UN at some point, so I just wanted to ask how the fact that India has not signed the NPT, the Non-Proliferation Treaty, makes sense, because I think many of us would argue that eventually non-proliferation of nuclear weapons is something that we would like to achieve. So how does it make sense that India has not agreed to accede to the NPT?
A developed country, they want to contain their knowledge and skills within themselves. And they don't want to see other developing countries acquire the high technology. As far as India is concerned, atomic weapons or atomic power plants, etc., is of very vital importance. So once you sign a treaty, they are putting a cap on your research and further work on that. Same thing on missiles also. At that time, we didn't have a missile which can go more than 150 kilometers. If we have signed that, we have finished that. But today, we have grown to something like 5,000 kilometer missiles are here in India. So, naturally, some of these cases, we have to safeguard our national interests. How the nation, I mentioned earlier, because of the inversion, our initiative in science and technology has died. So, we don't want to have this foreign power sitting on our head and then killing our initiative. So, to that extent, we have to disobey some of these formulations.
I'm asking a question out of the topic. The question is that I have a doubt from my childhood that is the moon landing real or fake, or is just a conspiracy theory? It's a basic doubt I have from my childhood, because even Neil Armstrong is an American who said that he has been landed in the moon. But even the American films which are being casted now are showing that these are fake. Even in one of the James Bond films, they are showing they are taken in a studio or something. So I have a genuine doubt from my childhood. So what's your opinion about it?
This type of conduct, of course, the secondly on the lighter side, luckily this landing was done in USA. Suppose it happened in Kerala, you can imagine the TV channels how much. Well, leave alone that. But I had a first-hand, a running commentary of the moon landing. There's a time when I just joined ISRO, and Dr. Kalam was my boss. And we were all, of course, our work schedule stretches up to night. One of the evening, when this event was taking place, BBC had got a station in Sri Lanka. From there, we are broadcasting every minute-by-minute event, and we could really see, visualize what was happening there. So I could see that. Then second thing is, our Chandrayaan, the pictures clearly shows some of the tracks which is left behind by our own, the space suits, the people wearing space suits, and some tractor-like vehicle which are used and so on. So there is a clear proof that people have gone there, and the samples which was brought there also is analyzed and so on. And perhaps this is a product of social media. You trigger something, it spread like wildfire.
Good evening, sir. My name is Aditya. And last week I went through an article on the internet which said that India is working on vertical landing systems. As we have seen, SpaceX lands rockets on barges in the sea and making it reusable. And for a rocket which belongs to SpaceX per launch, it costs about $60 to $65 million. But in India, it costs about $13 million. So, if India is successful in doing that, won't the ISRO be a major competitor for SpaceX and NASA? And when can we see such technologies in India?
Well, we have shown that the space technology can be done in a cost-effective manner. In fact, Aviation Week, one of the foreign magazines itself, in their front page after our Chandrayaan, they said that India is doing the space program on a shoestring budget. It was really true. Even the Chandrayaan or the Mars mission, we have hardly spent 1/10 of what America spends on such program. Still, we have achieved the mission in the first attempt itself. So when it comes to rockets, etc., yes, SpaceX is a very unique venture. Again, a startup type of thing, we start the comments, and today it has grown to a big establishment. And their model is unique. probably to make less costly. Previously, NASA was the think tank, and they were trying to conceive things and then give to industry for design, development, realization, etc. So there are a number of chain links involved, and each one takes its own share. So the cost blows out of proportion. Here SpaceX has brought a model in which everything under one roof, almost like ISRO. ISRO also got almost the science, technology, the rocket, satellites, everything under one roof. But we depend on industry for some of the manufacturing and that future things. So this model has been adopted by the Americans, and it's turned out to be successful. And not only that, they didn't invest too much on the technology, new technology development. By and large, they depend on the rocket system, etc., developed by Russia early days, and some in US also, and they are adopted for their missions. But the thinking is in a different line. You see, we were thinking of having a rocket coming back, bringing back, etc. So that is a very tough proposition, like in space shuttle, what happened. There could be dangers of damage and so on. But these people have done a very unique thing, send up the rocket and then bring it back to the launch pad. So this is a very unique concept which they have evolved, and it's a very practical one. So I think still we have the cost advantage, because scientists in India has to be paid only 1/10 the salary of Americans.
We now wish to honor our speaker for the day. May I invite past District Governor Venugopal C. Govind to honor our speaker with a Ponnada. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give him a standing ovation, please. We now request Madhavan sir to hand over a copy of his autobiography, Agni Parikshagal, to first Mrs. Meena Vishwanathan. Another copy to Rotarian District Governor-elect R. Madhav Chandran. Another copy to Professor Dr. G. Madhu, past Chairman, Institute of Engineers, Cochin. Another copy to Mr. P. A. Sadashivan. And lastly, a copy to G.V. Sir's sister, Nitya. Thank you so much, Padma Vibhushan Dr. G.Madhavan Nair.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks for the evening. I would like to firstly thank G. Madhavan sir for his presence. It is truly a delight to have you today, sir. Thank you for accepting our wishes. I extend my sincere gratitude to DG Madhav Chandran sir, in spite of the fact you have an installation coming soon. That shows your commitment to Cochin East and GB, sir. I would like to thank the Institute of Engineers India and Brahmin Sabha for their association. I would wholeheartedly thank the PDGs and members of the sister club for their presence. My sincere gratitude to the students of Bhavans Vidya Mandir. I would also like to thank wife of Padma Vibhushan G.Madhavan sir for his Raveendranath for his presence. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joseph. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly rise for the national anthem.
गणमन अधिनायक जय है भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंध